Good morning and
Good morning,
welcome.
Melinda.
Good
Oh,
morning, Jim. That's all right. Good morning to you. Um, to my viewers, welcome to Moments with Melinda. I'm so happy that you joined me today. Today, I am so excited because I have my friend Jim Elkind with me. Jim, how are you doing?
doing great, Melinda. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Fine. Doing very well. Well, let me tell my viewers a little bit about you, your illustrious life. So, Jim Elkind is the president of the Stark Mountain Foundation. He is the former CEO of New England Clean Energy, the past board member for the Mad River Cooperative, and Jim has 30 years of building and leading teams to achieve strategic objectives. He specializes in not for profit and for profit operations, team building, and leadership. Jim has advised companies ranging from startups to Fortune 100 clients, including General Electric and T Mobile. He holds a degree in environmental science from Harvard University and an MBA from MIT Sloan School. Well, does that about cover it?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome to your moment with Melinda, Jim.
Delighted to be here.
All right, let us dig right in. Let me get us to speaker here. Um, I would love it if you would share a little bit about where you grew up and your childhood.
Okay, sure. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and lived in one of the suburbs of Boston until I was 10 with my parents and two younger siblings. And then when I was 10, my folks moved us to Palo Alto, California. And I lived there through high school and then came back east for college. Throughout my upbringing and to this day, I was very fortunate that my parents loved being in the outdoors, and they imbued in me a love for the outdoors as well. Our family excursions were hiking, whitewater canoeing, sailing on little boats, and just even going for a walk and exploring what was in the mud at the bottom of little ponds. That was a passion of my mother's. It still is, and we were tide pools, walking on the beach, swimming. So I feel very fortunate that in my life, being outdoors is what brings me energy, and have worked throughout my life to make sure that I get that time outdoors. And Stark Mountain Foundation now is a great way to help other people enjoy that.
Well, it's interesting is you have a little bit of both in you. You have the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I do.
balanced. Perfect. So, who do you believe had the greatest impact on the choices that you've made in your life?
Yeah, maybe this is trite, but it has to be my parents.
Hmm.
I think a really interesting balance. My dad is a very accomplished computer scientist, and my mother was an educator by that just was in her blood, and the educational focus for her was the outdoors, and so the combination of the academic and kind of business quantitative pursuits, engineering pursuits of my father, and then you know taking a minute to look around and see what is around me from my mother is it's I think has made me who I am.
Now you have two other siblings. Where do you land in the are you the youngest, the oldest? Where do you land?
I am the oldest.
Yeah. I felt that from you because you're such a great leader. Um, so, so much of my work was in sustainability in the work that I've done, and you have a deep interest in energy efficiency and sustainability, and you spearheaded in your community of the town of Harvard for more than 400 kilowatts of solar power for the town. You were also certified lead green building consultant, and I've used a couple of those in my life, and they are amazing. At what point in your life did you decide to pursue a career in environmental sustainability? And what was the incentive for you to pursue this career?
Well, the incentive is easy. I had been a management consultant for many years, a couple decades, and was feeling like that was had run its course for me. And I really do have a commitment to sustainability and energy efficiency. And when I was at a crossroads with my management consulting career, and opportunities, I stepped back from that and educated myself on building energy efficiency. And the opportunity arose to volunteer in my town, the town in which I raised my family, my two kids, with Kathy doing way more of the work than I did, to lead a program with a local solar panel installer, that we actually did solar electric and solar hot water. And the program was designed to try to promote as much installation of solar electric and solar hot water systems as we could in the town. And the division of responsibilities was the state of Massachusetts certified that the installer would do a good job, and the installer was responsible for doing the work to put the systems together and get them working, and the community was responsible for the sales and marketing of the solar electric and solar hot water systems. It was a wonderful experience. It introduced me to a whole bunch of people, and the company, New England Clean Energy, was the company that was chosen by the state for Harvard, Massachusetts. And about 6 months later, the company realized how successful that program had been and pursued a similar program in a neighboring town. And they asked me to join the company to run it. And that led eventually to me leading the company.
What year was that?
Wow. That would have been about 12 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So that's relatively recent. I mean,
Yep.
Earth Day was 1972. How old were you when Earth Day in 1972?
I would have been 11.
You were 11, so you're 11
Yep.
years older than my son. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. So my next question is, that I was on the board of Vermont Businesses for Social Responsibility for many years, and this was way back, like 25 years ago. We met with Bernie Sanders. I was right when he
Cool.
got into the House of Representatives, and he believed that every home in the country should have a solar panel on their roof. Now, why is it taking so long for our country to embrace solar? And why don't states like Florida, the Sunshine State, utilize solar? I mean, come on, what's the problem here?
Um, I,
Greed.
it's not in the corporate interest of, for example, Florida Power and Light, and it's turned political rather than rational. And solar in many parts of the country produces electricity for far less than any other generating source, and yeah, it does make a huge amount of economic and environmental sense. I have seen kind of an evolution in thinking over the last decade and a half. There certainly are areas of the country where solar was not embraced. I've driven through Maine to the coast of Maine for the last 5 or 7 years. And in that time, I've seen the instances and the installations of solar go from essentially zero to, it feels like, not all over the place, but quite common in both interior Maine and coastal Maine. In Colorado, certainly seeing solar start to take off where it wasn't a decade ago. So I think that the economics of solar are beginning to prevail over
The politics.
the politics and the ideological resistance or whatever it is. We have electricity prices now that are triple what they were
I
a
know.
decade ago from when I started in the solar business, and so that alone is making people think differently about solar.
Well, even in Vermont, I mean, in Vermont, we put we got a mortgage. We put in our three arrays, and we didn't pay an electric bill for my daughter's house or our house for 10 years.
Right.
And then the legislature took away, first of all, they took away subsidies and incentives, and they changed the formula. So now we're paying our electric company because the legislature stopped this, whatever it was, the subsidies that they were, which, so I would love to see you jump in on that fight in Vermont. And now even Sun Common has been sold,
Right.
and NRG, Jan Blittersdorf was a friend of mine, and she said that
Hmm.
most of their work in the last 20 years has been over in China because America has pretty much stopped that. So what do you believe needs to happen to encourage? I mean, everyone should have, Bernie's right.
Yeah.
The federal government should give people the money to stick a solar panel on their roof, if for any other reason, to heat their water. So what do you believe needs to happen to encourage and support renewable energy for the common folk like me, who often do not have the resources to invest in solar, and like you too?
Um, the economics of solar do require a very big upfront cost if you're a homeowner, and so there are programs that where larger companies bear that startup cost and allow you to have lease you a solar system so you can have basically a lower monthly bill, which I think is great. It accomplishes the objective. It doesn't deliver to homeowners or small businesses all the benefits that ownership do over the long term. But the reality is that that those putting solar on your roof is very expensive. I think the states um, or other agencies could help lenders figure out that lending individuals so money so that they can put solar on their roofs or on their properties is really a low risk proposition. Those same, all of us pay our utility bills, our electric bills without fail. Otherwise, we lose power, right? So, where is the risk to a small bank of lending somebody money to do a solar system?
I have a better idea. Rather than spending $1 billion a day on a war, or spending 40% of our of our government's assets on military weapons. Why don't we put solar on every house? I'm with Bernie on this. Every house.
Yeah, we
Why
could.
does
I
the
mean,
federal government do that? I mean, that's a form of security for people. But so I think we need to get you down in the legislature and get a bill in Vermont that moves us in that direction. We should work on that together. So now I'm going to move to the love of your life. And I mean your wife as well. We're going to talk a little bit about her too. But I'm going to move now to the Stark Mountain Foundation, of which you are president. The mountain was named after General Stark. Now, who is General Stark, and why does he get this mountain named after him?
that's a great question, and I'm embarrassed to say that other than other than knowing he was a Civil War figure, not a Civil War figure, Revolutionary War figure, I really don't know his
let
history.
me
And
let me call
so,
Rick.
so
I
maybe
mean,
maybe
let's
one of
get.
you, somebody else, can help me
I
out
was going
there.
to say, let's get Moulton up
This is
here.
embarrassing.
I'll
Yeah,
get
I'm
Moulton,
pretty
our historian, up here
pretty
to
sure
tell us.
Revolutionary War figure, and
Did he live in
uh,
Vermont? Was he a Vermonter?
wow.
Okay. To my viewers, I want you to Google
So
General Stark.
it's hilarious because part of our mission is
Sorry.
is uh, is to preserve and protect the historic value of Stark Mountain. I should know
This is
the history of the
this is
person
what I'm
after
going to
which the
do.
mountain is named.
This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do for you as a volunteer, because we're talking about volunteerism in a minute. Is I'm going to have Rick write up something that you can put on your way. He's the historian, so
Yeah, no, we should.
we'll
We
let
should.
Rick Moulton do that. We're going to move on. So, what is the mission and vision of the Stark Mountain Foundation?
Let's start with the vision. In my words, the vision is to make it a place that people will enjoy forever, and to not just enjoy it, but understand what it is that they see as they traverse over Stark Mountain on skis, snowshoes, foot. However, we're just driving uh, along Route 17 and over Appalachian Gap, and looking at it. So the vision is that it will always be there and always will be a great place to ski, to hike, to snowshoe, to enjoy that the creatures and the plants and remain healthy and thrive. So we do that with a mission which is to preserve and protect the environment and ecosystem of Stark Mountain, which to us includes recreational access and historic value, and to support programs that promote and sustain the environment for the enjoyment of present and future generations. So that's a mouthful. I liked we shorten that mission statement by saying that Stark Mountain Foundation has three things we try to do. We try to steward, we try to educate, and we try to play or encourage people to play. And so if you don't mind, I'll just give examples of each of those.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. But
Okay.
before we do, could you tell my viewers where is Stark Mountain? I mean, where do they, because a lot of my viewers from all over the state, where do they find Stark Mountain?
So Stark Mountain lies above Route 17 as it goes from Waitsfield over Appalachian Gap, and so it's technically in the town of Fayston, and it's on the border of Fayston and I believe Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is on the other side of Stark Mountain from Mad River Glen ski area and from Route 7, and so 17 goes past Jerusalem as well. So it's in that zone between Jerusalem and Waitsfield, on the spine of the Green Mountains, north of Sugarbush, Mount Ellen, and south of App Gap.
So I mean, you're a relatively new transplant to the Mad River Valley, to Vermont. What drove you to take on this pretty important position as president? It's a lot of work. It's a volunteer position. What drove you to do that?
Um, Giving back to a place where Kathy and I raised our family. We brought our kids to ski at Mad River Glen when they were 4 and 6, and that was not the first place we brought them skiing, but it was the place that stuck. And I think that what made it stick for us was the combination of the quality of the skiing, but also the ethos of the place, and that included being able to. I feel horrible in some ways. Kathy and I feel horrible about this, but we were skiing one weekend and the kids had enough, or actually our son had enough, and our daughter wanted to take another run, and so we left him with some crayons in the base box, and,
I've done
and
that.
and took a run. He was 4 at the time, and we were like, "Gosh, this is really something that we probably shouldn't. Well, it seems okay. We'll do it." And we came back and kind of tiptoed back into the base box, peered around the corner, and there he was, happily crayoning with another little girl and her dad, and just felt right. And so that started, skiing there with our kids. That until recently, they're grown now in their 30s, and for 15 or 20 years, skiing there almost every weekend and holiday in the winter, and which meant a whole lot of driving. And so why commit that much time? Because the place continues to speak to me and speak to the family, and we formed a community there, and spending time both on the board of the Mad River Glen Cooperative, and now as a member of the board of the Stark Mountain Foundation. It has been just a joy, and continues to exercise the kind of get things done part of my brain. And
Right, right. Well, well, we're lucky to have you. I mean, thank heavens that you did decide
thank
to settle up here, and hats off to your children and to your son. I've done that many times, left my children with other people. So can you share with my viewers some of the more notable projects that Stark Mountain Foundation has endeavored in the past few years?
Sure. think I might go back more than a few years,
Okay.
Melinda. So Stark Mountain Foundation is now in its 26th year. It was, yeah, it was created by some by members of the Mad River Glen community who had the foresight to realize that the place was special and needed to be preserved for future generations. That Mad River Glen itself isn't capable of sustaining all of the infrastructure that a ski area requires, especially one that's been around since 1948. Um, and so the nonprofit was created in 2000 and continues to this day. Over that time, we've raised, I think it's safe to say we probably raised $15 million. Over 13 million of that has gone uh, to help support Mad River Glen in various ways. So probably the most iconic thing that Stark Mountain Foundation helped do was to rebuild the single chair in, now we need Rick, I think 97. Um, no, it was 2000. Well, gosh, it wasn't 97.
Oh,
It was
close
after.
enough. In the last
Yeah,
25 years.
yeah. This is horrible. I should know the history better.
Oh, don't you
So
worry.
that was a 1 point Stark Mountain Foundation and others raised, well, really the community raised with Stark Mountain Foundation's help, $1.7 million for the single chair. And then we were the financial partner for a fundraising campaign that raised $5.8 million for, again, for Mad River Glen, as for capital projects for Mad River Glen. And that really transformed the skiing at Mad River Glen. They did a whole bunch of work to move the water to places where it wouldn't erode the snow and erode the trails. And we rebuilt the ski school and ski patrol building, or they did with support from Stark Mountain Foundation, and did a over $2 million project to renovate the base box and so these things all tie to our mission of promoting recreation at and the play piece of Stark Mountain Foundation's mission.
Wow.
Um, so, maybe there's more we want to
Well,
talk about.
there is more, but I have so much to ask you, and I want to move into.
Please.
I want to share with my viewers that the Stark Mountain Foundation funded the Mad River film that Rick Moulton made and was premiered last year, a 75-year fellowship of skiers. And this
Yeah,
film that you
wonderful.
funded won the film award at the 2025 International Ski History Association annual award event in Lake Placid.
Isn't
So
that awesome?
thank
Yeah,
you
and
for
so
that support.
of
Yeah.
course, I mean that fits so well with the stewardship part of our mission and
And they
preserving
can
the
see
historic values.
and they can see it on your website, which I'm going to get, which is
Yes,
www.starkmountain.org, right?
yes.
Okay. So now talk to us about the recent acquisition of the 20th hole land being sold by the Pratt family that you've bought. Was a landmark achievement to purchase 1,100 acres. To my viewers, listen to this. This organization, the Stark Mountain Foundation, within just a few months, purchased 1,100 acres of land for 2.75 million. And you folks raised that money so quickly and secured this property forever for future generations. Talk to us a little bit about that and tell us what the plans are for the property.
Sure. Um, yeah, I mean that was a project, the fundraising for Mad River Glen to purchase the 1,100 acres between Sugarbush, much of the land between Sugarbush and Mad River Glen was an amazing community support, just incredible. We in 4 months together, Mad River Glen's board and Stark Mountain Foundation's board and a whole and really volunteers small group of volunteers just crushed the fundraising, and we did raise actually $2.8 million. Two and a half of that um, will be used by Mad River Glen with a grant from Stark Mountain Foundation to purchase the 1,100 acres, which more than doubles the amount of land owned by Mad River Glen. What's going to happen with that is that over the next 2 years, we'll find the answer to that question. There will be no subdivision on the Mad River Glen side of Route 17 on that land behind the Mad River Barn. It will be used for recreation and conservation. There will be a conservation easement that will be developed and held by one of three Vermont conservation organizations, either the Vermont Land Trust, the Green Mountain Club, or the Catamount Trail Association, I believe is the third one.
Yes.
And so the short answer is it's going to remain undeveloped and a great place to recreate and a great place for animals and plants to thrive. And I think to the visible eye, we're probably not going to see a lot of change, but there'll be some, and it's going to be a joint effort led by Mad River Glen to figure out what happens to that land, because they are the new owners and stewards of that land.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. What an
Yeah.
accomplishment. So, to my viewers, Stark Mountain Foundation is a nonprofit organization and it is supported by donations. So, how can you make a contribution? Go to their website, www.starkmountain.org, and make a donation. You can also view the
Thank you.
Mad River film by going to the Stark Mountain website. So also, if any of my viewers would like to sign up as a volunteer to serve on the board, develop support for the mission, organize the ski scholarship program, run their environmental education programs, or host their annual story ski, or volunteer for one of their committees, visit this website, starkmountain.org, and click I'd like to volunteer.
Thank
Now,
you.
also, you have been known to go off into the big mountains for weeks. I mean, literally, you and Holton and this group of monstrous, powerful men for weeks to hike from peak to peak along some of the most, I mean, somewhat dangerous and incredible parts of the world. And you have tremendous strength and endurance. So what do you do to give you this resolve to do some of the incredible physical challenges that you do?
Well, candidly, sometimes I have to suppress my fear of of not doing it well enough.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.
uh, I guess that, going back to one of your earlier questions, my parents showed me that resolve in life is one of the things that let you get done what you wanted, or let you do what you wanted to do, and enable that. And so I'm very lucky. I have time now to not only help move Stark Mountain Foundation along and support its programs, but also to do lots of exercise and find friends who have similar values, and I'm lucky enough to be able to go do those adventures with them.
It's extraordinary what you all do, and at your ages too. I mean, I think you might be a little bit younger than some of the older guys who goes out there, but still, it's just phenomenal. Now I want to talk a little bit about Kathy, your wife. You have been her partner in a lot of the hikes that you've done, and talk to us a little bit about the book that she wrote and the
Yes.
miles and miles and miles that you all walked to create the book. To walk it is to see it. And by the way, I did interview Kathy for my TV show a
She
while
loved it.
back when this book came back out. And she can visit her website, to my viewers, at Kathy Elkind, Elkind, Kathy with a K.com. Talk to me a little bit about working with her on this book and the treks that you take and some of the more recent long distance walks that hikes. They're incredible hikes that you've done.
So Kathy's book, To Walk It Is to See It, is a wonderful memoir that is set during the setting for the memoir is our 1,400-mile walk from the Netherlands, the port of Rotterdam, all the way to Nice, France, through the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and then from north to south, all of kind of eastern France. And she does a great job of weaving together the observations or the daily experiences from a few days of that 98-day adventure, and relating them to her life and at times our life together. But it's her memoir and her story, and just I was lucky enough to be included on, I shouldn't say it that way, but it was her idea to do this wonderful walk on the Grand Randonnée #5, and she turned it into a fabulous book. Walking for us, doing long distance point to point walks for us is a combines things that we both love. It's being outdoors, being together, learning new cultures, meeting new people, experiencing grand vistas, and also little tiny spots just along the side of the trail, which are magical and memorable, and doing that in a low impact way and at a pace that we both like to realize through that walk. Walking is the pace at which our bodies evolved to do things. Our vision works well. You can hear. It's comfortable to walk for hours on end, and you just get to see everything. Whereas even on a bike, you're zooming by and worried about navigating, and just when you're putting one foot in front of the other, whether it's uphill, downhill, in the woods, or in the mountains, it just is a magical experience. And her book captures it well.
Well, you two are a beautiful couple, and I'm so honored to know you. So Kathy's book, Kathy Elkind's book, is To Walk It, Is to See It. You can find it at any local bookstore or visit her website at Kathy with a K, ELKIND.com. So Jim, what do you think of this year's snowfall? Huh?
We had a great winter, and it was cold though. There were times when just even though the snow was out there, it was like,
But
oh gosh,
that's when the snow's so good and
I
nobody's
know,
there. I
I
mean,
know.
you'd go over on a Tuesday, it would be 5 degrees and no one would be there
Yeah,
and everything would be corduroy and it would be
the
so
skiing was
perfect.
great. Yeah,
Just put on your face mask.
yeah.
So I want to ask you as we come to the end of the show, would you share with my viewers your advice on how we all can stay hopeful and positive with all the world challenges we face every day? What do you do to stay positive, and how do you talk to your children and help them to remain positive about their future?
Wow. So you saved the hardest question for last.
Yes, I did.
Boy,
I had to break you in.
um, I, I guess this sounds very fatalistic. Time will move on and we will move through this. And I think we have to focus on the things. I focus on the things that I can control and can do to do my little bit, and try to remain open to and supportive of my kids and the people around me. And but there's an awful lot of what I do, which is just to put it aside and go do the things that I love and that I know are going to make a difference around me. And that's kind of the best that I can do. It's really, really hard. There's so much that has been, in my mind, just destroyed in such a short time. And we go back to your questions about solar energy, and that was like the historic change in we had a historic change and step and a way forward, and to see that ripped away, to have the Environmental Protection Agency turned into fossil fuel promotion organization is just I don't know how to deal with any of this except to just realize that we will move forward. And if we look at what recently happened in Hungary as an example, I guess that gives us all some hope that over time the pendulum will swing, and I will do what I can to push it back in the direction I think it needs to go. Um,
Well,
but it's hard, Melinda. It's really hard.
it is hard, but we're also honored to have you here as part of our tribe. And I'm going to challenge you to sit down with me and maybe a few other, Bill McKibben, maybe a few other people, and see if we can draft some kind of a bill to get us back on track in Vermont to encourage people to put solar on their properties, because they've sort of slashed that bill, and
They have.
and
Yeah,
and we need to come together as a group. Maybe I can put together some kind of a charrette with some environmentalists and we can sit down and
that'd be
propose
fun.
a bill. Okay, let's do that. So thank you, Jim Elkind. You are a wonderful and devoted steward of the Mad River Glen legacy, and we are also grateful for your selfless service to protecting, educating, and creating ways to bring the Stark Mountain to the people. It is a noble and appreciated work. I want to thank you for being on my show today.
Thank you, Melinda. It was a pleasure. Really appreciate it. Take
Thank you,
care.
my friend. And
All
to
the
my
best.
viewers, I want to thank you for joining me today. I want you to keep hope in your heart, and we will forge forward, and we'll get through all this. And until I see you again, be of joy.
Thank you, Melinda. Joy to you as well.
Thank you.